So what the Farage time now, and the globalist and Remainer Grant Shapps has replaced Suella Braverman as Home Secretary, and he immediately revealed exactly where his loyalties lie.
Except that the government has obviously had a very difficult period, as Jeremy Hunt said when he was appointed on Friday. That nonetheless means it's doubly important to ensure that we are doing absolutely everything in the basic areas. And Jeremy Hunt, I think, has done a great job of settling the issues relating to that mini-budget.
I mean, Nigel Farage, look, it is an extraordinary night, right? So much going on at Westminster. I was gripped to your show earlier when you were covering it all live. But fascinating there, you've got one Ramona in Shapps talking about another Ramona in Hunt, who, of course, proposed a second referendum. No reference there at all to the woman who is meant to be our Prime Minister. This is a coup, isn't it, Nigel?
Oh, absolutely. It's a globalist coup. Jeremy Hunt is now the President of the United Kingdom. Truss is irrelevant. Whether she stays or goes tomorrow is completely irrelevant. Hunt has been chosen. And I'd love to know who spoke to Liz Truss and told her that Hunt had to have this top job, whether it was the IMF, the White House, the German Chancellor, all of them. It's perfectly clear they're all delighted that he's there. And what you saw today was the Hunt reshuffle, getting rid of Suella Braverman, who dared to say that legal and illegal immigration was running at too high a level. It is a complete and utter disaster. And in comes Grant Shapps, And this is the first. Well, they planned this to be the first of many. This is a globalist coup. It is a Remainer coup. The Conservative Party is now showing its true colours. Politically, it never, ever believed in Brexit. It really genuinely didn't. And secondly, from their behaviour tonight, what you're seeing is a bunch of low-grade social misfits. And they've been this for a very, very long time. I spent 21 years, Dan, commuting back and forth to Brussels and Strasbourg, working with these people. Many of them are now MPs, members of the House of Lords. One of them's even in the cabinet. And I have to tell you, they are the most self-centred, selfish people I've ever met in my life. They're in politics, not for their beliefs, not for what they can do for the country. They're in it for their own ghastly little careers. And I honestly believe, even though it's been 200 years that the party's been around, and arguably the most successful political party and movement the Western world's ever seen, I honestly believe the moment has come now for us to recognise that the Conservative Party, for those of us that believe in conservative values, and by which I mean the small state, entrepreneurship, all of those things, this party is now dead and it needs to be replaced.
OK, so Nigel, assume that is correct, then there has to be some sort of revolution on the right of British politics. And of course, Nigel, you are the one man who all week people are saying, well, unless Farage gets involved, it's pointless because there's no figurehead. And look, there's some great people on the right, and we love a lot of these people, Nigel. Your colleague Richard Tice, who took over the Reform Party, a great man. We have Lawrence Fox, who, of course, was filling in for you a couple of weeks ago, head of the Reclaim Party. But there's no one leading this movement. Nigel, are you prepared to do it? Are you prepared to return to frontline politics?
Well, look, I led two very major, and I would argue, albeit it took a long time, but two very successful insurgencies. The first was UKIP. The second was the Brexit Party. I got rid of David Cameron. I got rid of Theresa May. I'm quite proud of that, really. However, that was around, well, you can call it a single issue, but a fundamental issue. And also, I had proportional, representational European elections in which I could win, and by doing that, change the agenda. But you're also looking, Dan, at the man who got 4 million votes and 1 seat in the 2015 general election. What is clear to me, if we're going to replace this Conservative Party, if we're going to build a new centre-right movement that believes in the individual as opposed to the big corporate, that believes in national security as opposed to just-in-time supply chains and all of those things, what is clear to me is I absolutely could not do that on my own. It would need, several major figures to recognise the Conservative Party is dead. Now, whether a Suella Braverman or others like that have got the courage to strike out and do this, I don't know. When the SDP launched in 81, and goodness me, they came within a whisker in 83 of replacing the Labour Party. They didn't, but they got Tony Blair, so they kind of won. There were 4 major former cabinet ministers that set that up. So we need to replace the Conservative Party. We need something that is sincere, that is genuine, that is not, as they all are now, centre-ground Social Democrats. I can't do that on my own, but if there are other major figures that want this to happen, if there are major media organisations that want this to happen, then it can, but I can't do it on my own.
OK, so your message to Suella Braverman tonight, for example, Nigel, would be, what? Don't stick with the Conservatives. Come and do something with me. My
message to all of those people who genuinely believe in a small state, in free market capitalism, in looking after the concept of the nation, would be to listen to the words of Charles Walker tonight. He put it absolutely beautifully. You could see the anger that was boiling within him. But people like Charles Walker are now rare in politics. He's in politics because of what he thinks he can achieve, as opposed to Charles Walker himself climbing the greasy pole. This party is in the grip of low-grade careerists. It has no future. And I'm calling on people to have the courage and the vision to rise above it. And if we can get a gang together of people, we can make this happen. On his own, Nigel Farage could fight a very, very brave rearguard action. I'm sure I can get millions of votes. I'm sure I could do that. But we need more than that. We need more than that. We need to be able to smash the first past the post system. I can't do that on my own. If there are others out there that want to work with me, that have got that vision, then it can be done.
Have you spoken to any disaffected Tories who were cabinet ministers yet?
Dan, if I had, I wouldn't tell you at this stage. So, but look, of course, I have some close relationships with people in the Conservative Party, people who were in the trenches with me during the Brexit campaign and beyond. The slight problem is they all feel that they owe so much allegiance to the party itself that none of them would have been in politics without the party. And they now need to recognise that party is done. I thought David Mellor, his response to you was very interesting a moment ago. I mean, there's a man who's been, in the Conservative Party a lot longer than you've been alive. And he's held very senior positions. He's been through the ups and downs of politics more than most people. But David is genuinely conservative in his thoughts, his philosophies. And I could tell listening to him, he's pretty much at the end of his tether with the whole organisation. So we have to be able to create something that is grounded, that has a deep philosophy, has a conscience, and is made up of people who want to do this. I'm going to quote Sir Charles Walker, who want to do this for the country as opposed for their own little grubby careers. So I'm not saying there's no cert that it is going to happen, but for the first time ever, there is the opportunity, not just for a political insurgency, which I did so well, or so badly, depending on your point of view, but now there's an opportunity to create something completely fresh and brand new. And, it may well be that the election after next is contested under proportional representation anyway. And that would, of course, kill off the Conservative Party as we know it forever. What has happened over the course of the whole of 2022 is a complete and utter disgrace. We have been reduced to a laughingstock all over the world. I'm busy doing Australian TV, American TV, and they all look at the mother country now with some sense of disbelief. And that is down to this political party, the low-grade actors within it, and nothing else.